Oops.
What are you doing?
Ooh. Sorry, honey. I love you.
Oh, I love you too. Okay, let's get started. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I have my husband here and we're going to be sharing with you how we did our extreme bathroom makeover. Before I get started with this makeover, I wanted to say a huge thank you to each and every one of you for taking the time out to love my channel, support it, comment, and like all my DIYs, even the bad ones. For this giveaway, I wanted to give away two things. So the first thing we're giving away is...
RYOBI glue gun.
Yay! It will come with a battery.
This is her favorite.
Yes, it's like one of my favorite tools to use. The second one is...
impact drill. And a drill.
Yeah, and this will also come with a battery.
Yep.
Just FYI, this is in no way associated with RYOBI. This is a giveaway from us to you. I'll go ahead and add all the details down below if you want to enter this giveaway. The first person that contacts me after they're announced the winner gets to pick which gift they want.
Yay!
Okay, let's get started with this bathroom makeover. In this video, I will share a total of 5 DIYs that we needed to do in order to complete this makeover. I will also break down the costs for you just in case you're wondering how much each DIY cost. In total, not including our new toilet, this transformation cost us under $500. The toilet definitely put a big dent in our budget, but I don't regret it at all. Okay, so first off, I'm gonna start with how the bathroom looked like before we did this extreme makeover. When we moved into the house, there was no vanity under the sink. The sink was olive green, and I was so into shabby chic, I decided to try and match the sink and paint the walls green and hand paint flowers onto it, but it turned into just a big green mess. As you can see, we also had our washer in the bathroom, so it was a very tight space. But the worst thing for me that bugged me the most was the flooring. We had old wood laminated flooring and it cracked and it kept soaking water up, so that was my biggest concern. So I started off by removing all of the laminate, and when I did that, here's how the floor underlooked. It was even worse. So at this point, I decided I would go get some vinyl. So I picked up this vinyl at Home Depot, and it had really pretty wood grain that almost looked realistic. To install the vinyl flooring, I actually just laid the vinyl under my laminate. I traced it, and then I applied glue onto my floor and just laid the cutout vinyl onto the floor. It's actually pretty easy. And here's how it looks after. Isn't it crazy how big of a difference flooring can make? Okay, so the next step was trying to figure out what to do with the vanity in the bathroom. Everything I looked at in stores was so overpriced, and because we were on such a tight budget, I tried to make things work, and then I came across this kitchen cabinet that was only $20 because the top half of it was broken, and it worked out perfect. So I used kitchen cabinets for the vanity. Okay, let's talk countertops. So Pinterest is one of my favorite places to go for a home decor inspiration. I found white marble countertops that I was obsessed with. I liked the light and airy look that it gave the space, and I really wanted white marble countertops. However, they were totally out of my budget, so I had to make things work. I went to Home Depot and picked up this piece of plywood for $20, and I decided to make faux marble with plywood and resin. So we also stopped by at Hobby Lobby and picked up some of this resin, and we were all set to go. To start off, we marked and measured how big we wanted our countertop to be. Then we cut it down to size, and before we started painting anything on the countertop, we went ahead and installed it just to make sure it was the perfect fit. Decided that I actually wanted to do a thicker edge so it looked more realistic, so we actually got some 1x2 that we cut down to size and attached to one of the edges of the plywood. Then we were ready to paint. We went ahead and used regular latex paint that we had left over from painting our white walls, and we gave it 2 coats of white paint. Any latex paint should actually work for this, as long as it's not super shiny. Our paint was eggshell finish, which worked out perfect. If you're planning on doing this DIY for your countertops, I highly recommend checking out my blog post. I go into way more detail about specific supplies and what not to do.
Varsa smooth, y'all.
Also, if you're not subscribed to my channel, don't forget to subscribe. I try and post weekly. Next, I did a quick test run on a whiteboard that I had. I just used a regular paintbrush to create the marbling, and I applied a drop of milky resin just to see if it was blurring out the effect like I wanted. I ended up using just regular acrylic gray paint that I watered down a little, and instead of using a paintbrush for my countertop, I actually used a feather because it gave very thin defined lines, and I made sure I was kind of doing all the veining in one direction. Here's how the table looked. At this point, I loved the effect. However, I felt like the veining was still popping too much, so I took a moist sponge and I applied a few drops of white latex paint onto it, and then I just rubbed it onto the countertop to blur out the veining even more. Okay, so before pouring any resin, I decided to build a frame around the edge of the front of the countertop. This would help get a nice and thick coat instead of letting the resin drip on the edges. Before attaching the frame, I applied clear tape onto the inside of the wood. Sorry, I didn't get this on camera, but pretty much all the areas I didn't want the resin to stick to, I applied tape onto. I attached the frame to the sides of the countertop with some hot glue and small staples. Then I flipped the countertop over and applied tape to the bottom to make sure none of the resin leaks through the bottom. Be sure to silicone any cracks and holes to avoid from having your resin leaking out. Honestly, I feel like this frame idea wasn't the brightest idea. It added way too much work in the end because I ended up having to sand down like this edge right here that it created. Then to match to it, I ended up like sanding the rest of the table down, and I thought maybe a matte look would be nice. Ugh, it was just horrible. So Tony ended up wet sanding it and buffing it again to bring that shine back. Before pouring my resin, I applied a wall of tape around the edges to kind of keep the resin from dripping off too fast. Here's what I used for the resin. I went out and got a big plastic bowl and some plastic spoons for this. Then I combined my liquid A and liquid B together. I stirred it together for a total of 3 minutes. Then I added some white resin pigment and stirred it for an additional minute. Okay, now it's ready to pour. You can use a trowel for this step. I just use my hands and move the resin around to get it into all the cracks and edges and between the frame and the countertop. I use my heat gun to pop any bubbles and get the resin to settle in. It actually becomes pretty runny once it warms up and it settles down nicely. After about an hour, I removed the tape wall from the edges and let it set overnight. Surprisingly, I barely got any drips on the edges this way, which is pretty cool.
Before, after.
After letting the resin set for 24 hours and sanding it and buffing it back to its shine, here's how it looks installed in our bathroom. I am seriously blown away by this DIY, probably one of my favorite DIYs to date. Cannot believe how realistic this turned out. I love that the veins are blurred out. This is totally my taste and just what I was actually going for. And I love how the colors look against the green vanity. Honestly, if I was to do this DIY again, I would probably avoid doing the frame. I feel like that wasn't the brightest idea. I would just totally let the resin run off the sides and sand the sides and maybe buff them if I had any like uneven drips. But overall, I feel like this one was a success. Okay, next I'm gonna be sharing how we made our mirror for the bathroom. Okay, so I actually considered purchasing a very similar mirror, but I did a poll on Instagram and you guys totally voted for us to DIY it. So Instagram made us do this. Just headed to look for wood for our mirror. Last time we were making our coffee table, we found this pawn shop that actually sells wood slabs. So we're gonna go check them out first. Okay, we're here. Let's go check them out. They actually had a ton of wood to pick from, and I was pleasantly surprised with their pricing. Their pricing was actually not bad at all. The bigger slabs ended up being too thick for this project, so we found a few smaller slabs that were thinner.
Come on, woman, put your back into it. I'll not help you, but I'm recording.
One ended up being $15 and the other one was $10, so this was a steal deal. Have our wood.
In our little car.
We've become best friends. Next, we stopped by at our local restore to see if we can find a mirror for our DIY project. We ended up coming across this mirror and it had no price tag on it, so I was hoping for the best. Turns out it was only $12, so that brought our total up to $37.
just use it as firewood.
Okay, to make the mirror, I sanded down the wood to a smooth finish, then I measured the height of the mirror. To get a clean finish, we first cut the bottom of the board straight. Then we measured and marked the wood before Tony cut out the first piece with the circular saw. Make sure that the areas you're using aren't warped because we actually learned the hard way about this. So here's how the piece looks so far. We left the live edge on the inside, and as you can see, it's actually a little bit shorter on both sides. We did this on purpose so the frame would be smaller than the mirror. Okay, next we cut another piece measuring the same size. Here's how both pieces look on the sides of the mirror. For the top and bottom of the mirror, we decided to do a clean edge cut. So Tony started off by cutting a straight line down this board. Now all that's left is measure 5 inches out and cut it to the length needed. Here's how the clean edge piece looks on the mirror. Once all the pieces were cut out, we noticed that some pieces need to be shaped a little bit to fit nicer. So Tony shaved them off a bit with just a sander. Okay, now we had to attach all the pieces together. Real quick, if you're not familiar with the Kreg jig, it's a tiny plastic tool that comes with a special drill to create slanted holes. You'll just need to clamp the plastic Kreg jig where you need your hole and drill like this. Once you remove the jig, you should have a perfect slanted hole, and then you could just secure your wood pieces with some screws. We secure the frame on all 4 sides this way, and for added durability, we also added some wood glue before securing it with screws. If you're freaking out about using a Kreg jig, because trust me, I was, you can always practice on scrap wood like we did. Now that it was a solid piece, we took it outside and sanded down any areas that stuck out. I added some of this Johnson's furniture wax, and honestly, I feel like it didn't make a difference at all because once secured after a few hours, you couldn't see it at all. Now to attach the mirror to the frame, we flipped the frame face down and applied a few drops of silicone. A little goes a long way. Then Tony set the mirror onto the frame and we recycled an old belt to make these tiny little straps to secure all 4 corners of the mirror additionally. Next, we attached this wire we had from our previous mirror, and because we were worried that the mirror might get scratched or broken by the screw in the wall, Tony added some of these wood blocks to all 4 sides and applied some contact paper in this area. Here's how it looks in our bathroom. I love bringing in natural wood elements into home decor, and I feel like this was the perfect way. I also still cannot believe that this mirror cost us under $40 to make. We also made this super cute plant stand from the wood we got for the mirror. Tony just made some dowels out of the wood, then he cut them down to size and assembled the plant stand with some wood glue and a staple gun. Sorry, I didn't get much footage of this. If you want a full DIY, let me know down below in the comments. I made this cute little towel holder from some thin plywood that I had at home and some wood letters. I started by assembling the wood letters and gluing the letters onto the wood with some wood glue. Then I mixed up some plaster of Paris and filled all the gaps in the letters since I decided to go for a cleaner look. I rubbed off any of the remaining paste with just my fingers and a needle. Once the plaster of Paris has set, I spray painted the whole sign matte black. I also spray painted these cute little hooks I got at Hobby Lobby. And to make the letters pop again, I used a foam brush that I dipped into some white paint, and then I dabbed the foam brush onto the letters to bring them back out again. I love how it turned out. It is so cute. And last but not least is this shower curtain. Because I couldn't find a shower curtain that was longer than 72 inches in height, I decided to make it from this tablecloth I got at Target. I first measured the total height needed for my curtain, then I left enough room for a fold on the top. I cut the tablecloth while it was folded and used a ruler to help mark approximate lines on the other sides of the cloth. Next, I ironed along the folded lines and I secured it with a straight stitch. Now I was ready to make some buttonholes. I marked where I would like each buttonhole and used my old brother's sewing machine to make the buttonholes. And that's it. I love how tall this shower curtain is, and those gray lines are so subtle and pretty. And just in case you're wondering, I'm gonna go over all of the decor, let you know where I got it, how much it cost. Little candle I got at Target was $20. This was on Amazon. It came in a set of 2 and it was $9. This was also from Target and I think it was $5.99. The sink and the faucet I ordered on Amazon. I believe the faucet was around $60 and the sink was like $50. This faucet is actually amazing. this little plant I got at Target as well, and it actually came in a smaller pot. I had this pot at home. The little plant was $14.99. Little hand towels I got at Target, and they have these little loops that you can hook on to the hooks. I love this idea. I think I'm actually gonna do this to all of my hand towels. Super cute little trash can I actually found at Target. The lid comes off and it can actually just hang off if you don't want the lid on. I love it. Rug we got at World Market. It actually has rubber on the back, which is super nice because it doesn't move around.
Thank you so much for watching the video.
I hope you guys enjoyed it and loved our bathroom makeover as much as we do. If you guys liked it, give us a thumbs up.
And subscribe.
Okay, we'll see you all in the next video. Bye.
Bye.